most creative lineups.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the DreamHack Hearthstone Grand Prix. We are getting fairly deep into our top 16 now. We have a matchup that I'm personally very excited about because of the UK connection. Very happy to see BoarControl doing well in this tournament. But joining me to help describe the action is Firebat once again and Nimch. Guys, I don't know if you know too much about BoarControl previous to this tournament, but he's been taking the UK scene by storm at least.
Well, I knew about him before because he was one of the players that was actually rocking the NVIDIA tournament at some point, and there was this big open part of BoarControl had a lot of points. I think at the end of the tournament he didn't make it, but every week when I was looking at his standings, he was always at the top, and obviously a really good Insomnia performance as well. So he got my attention early, and you know, right now he's here in the top 16, and obviously, like, how is he storming UK scene? Like, what is he doing there? Is he winning all the local tournaments? Or
So, I mean, first thing first, there was a recent tournament run by ESL called the UK Premiership, which is a long league format ending in a LAN finals. BoarControl took home that whole thing, beating Cypher in the grand finals.
Nice.
You know, huge 8-week long process through the league, and then a 4-man LAN at the end. So he took that home, kind of crowned himself as king of the UK in that sense, and really, since he stormed onto the scene a few Insomnias ago, kind of the last Insomnia before it evolved into the True Silver Championship, he burst onto the scene then. That was the first LAN we saw him at, and ever since then, he's been going strength to strength, and another very, very solid performance from him here. But on the other side, we have tomof, a player from the French community, and he's no stranger to the competitive Hearthstone scene either. He's one of those players that if you regularly play kind of online events around Europe, you know, kind of Strivewire events, Gfinity events, those kind of things, you will have run into him. He's a name that pops up over and over again, and people in Europe know him to be a very strong player.
Definitely, all over the place. Also, he had a great performance at the HCT prelims. He didn't qualify himself, I believe, but he was featured a couple of times. So tomof is playing a lot of tournaments with good success.
Yep, but looks like these players are not looking to waste any time here, and we're going to get into game one very quickly. So Firebat, Nimch, have fun, guys.
I think it's about so Firebat, what do we have here?
We have, it looks to be the mid-range hunter of tomof up against the aggressive shaman of BoarControl.
Which means that Shaman has a great advantage to
Yeah,
begin with.
definitely a great advantage. It's just, hunters really, what they struggle at is early game, and what shaman excels at
is early game.
Yeah, so you can only imagine that if the shaman gets off with a decent start, even like a mediocre start is just good enough in this matchup for the shaman to turn it into a snowball and then just have enough damage to finish off the game with things like Lava Burst and Doomhammer.
But there's still a slight chance for Hunter. It's not like it's
Sure.
100% for Shaman, and especially if you have double Firebud in your opening hand with the huge Toad, you at least have a chance to fight. Because sometimes you don't get those cards. You just started a coin Animal Companion to Leok, and then you know you lost that match.
Yeah, that's often too slow. The thing about Hunter's early game, though, is they rely on things like Huge Toad, Fiery Bet, and Flame Juggler, all of which have some 50-50 juggles involved if they're able to actually trade up with the Shaman minions. Because you see here, BoarControl has the ability to play either Argent Squire or Tunnel Trog, both of which, if they trade into Fiery Bet has only 50% chance to kill them. If the Hunter's high rolling and is hitting those 50-50s, it can sometimes get out of the early game and be okay and make a decent transition to the mid game. But on the other hand, if it isn't rocking those 50-50s, it can get a little awkward.
How do you do it, Firebud? Because like yesterday we casted a match as well, and there was a Hunter, and he had a double Firebud opening. It's like, oh, it's a double Firebud opening when I'm casting with you. They just call them out.
It's
like
they're drawn to me.
I guess, yeah.
They need me, man.
Just come when you need
They
them.
are my people. And bats, I mean.
Yeah, but he chose the huge Toad instead.
Well, yeah, a Huge Toad directly contests a little bit better. If you played Fiery Bat on this board, you'd be just basically sacrificing it to the Argent Squire, and that's not how you treat a bat.
And that was a miss from the Acid.
Yeah, like imagine if the Huge Toad had killed the Argent Squire here. Just how different the board position would be, because then 2 Fiery Bats would be able to come down from tomof just completely uncontested. So that's like the big problem with Hunter's early game, is it really relies on these coin flips, which your opponent has the ability to choose when they're activated most of the time, so they can kind of swing the RNG slightly in their favor. And as we saw there, like BoarControl, it was in his favor for it not to kill the Argent Squire.
Definitely. Well, they do still contest this board, even with the free one. They will die, but the poison can actually kill something. And That's at least that's the best opening I think that BoarControl, well, tomof could have hoped for, because he still has the weapon to be able to respond to some things that Shaman is doing. It's not great, but
it's not bad.
He's not bad as well.
Yeah, it's not like he has double Call of the Wild and high main in his hand.
Yeah,
he actually has cards he can play, which is also another issue with the Hunters early game, is the fact that they just have so many expensive cards. Call of the Wild costs 8, high main costs 6. And we see
Tigers cost 5.
Yeah,
and suddenly.
yeah, suddenly your whole hand costs a lot of mana. But he has the early game minions. He's contesting quite nicely. BoarControl has the ability to try and protect maybe his Flame Tongue Totem here using the Argent Horse Rider, or he has the ability to try and go for a Taunt Totem or a Heal Totem. So 50-50 shot on the Totem to be able to protect his Flame Tongue. Whiffs on the Totem roll, but he is able to still just develop a Tunnel Trog out into the board, or defend it using the Rockbiter weapon.
I actually have an update for our viewers. So another match that was going on and was not streamed, Super JJ versus Namcor, just ended. Super JJ won 3-2 versus Namcor. So we will see Super JJ fighting in the top 8 tomorrow.
Awesome news. Good to hear. You know, Super JJ is a player that a lot of people wanted to see go through. He's one of the more known players in this top 16, so I'm sure a lot of people are want to tune in to see that game. But anyway, back to this game. We do see BoarControl using the Rockbiter weapon to protect his Flame Tongue Totem, so he has presence on board. And that Flame Tongue Totem, extremely scary, so tomof going to react to it immediately.
Yeah, definitely. The weapon will be quite good, because next turn he can attack something again. Unless there is Argent Horse Rider only, then you probably don't have that many targets. But Hunter is fighting back and didn't take much damage. Like, it didn't take any damage.
Yeah, it's at 30 health, so it's not that bad of a spot for the Hunter. He is sort of fizzling out of cards a little bit. It is kind of weird when your Shaman opponent has more cards than you. But,
yeah.
You know, he's in a great spot. Like you said, he's got a lot of health to work with still. This is the point in the game where the Shaman deck is supposed to shine. This is the spot where the Hunter is supposed to be getting the beat down and kind of like
just slowly losing the game, basically, when you just follow up with like a Doomhammer or whatever. Second Houndmaster isn't great, but still, he can go with the Houndmaster this turn just to develop a big board for free, even though it dies to the Lightning Bolt.
Yeah, it dies to Lightning Bolt, it dies to potentially Flame Tongue Totem along trade up, it dies to Rockbiter weapon. It's a 4-3, it dies to a lot of stuff.
Yeah, but we need some pressure on board.
Sure.
Is there any merit in like playing Knife Juggler? Not really, just dies to the same stuff.
No, you want to hold on to it. I imagine if he's playing Knife Juggler, he's playing Unleash the Hounds in his deck, and Knife Juggler and Unleash the Hounds can be actually quite powerful against Shaman, especially if they start playing Tuskar Totemic, Feral Spirits, things that make their board a little wide and vulnerable to that. So I think just playing the Houndmaster here is totally acceptable. You don't have any, like, better plays in your hand. It's just what you got.
Definitely, and there is a couple of good answers here. Like, obviously, Feral Spirit is something you can play with Flame Tongue Totem. Just kill the 4-3 with an attack with the 3-1 Totem, and then you can even go face for 2 damage with the Spell Damage Totem.
Yeah, I like it a lot. You're able to protect your Flame Tongue Totem behind these Feral Spirits, so your opponent needs to either kill command or quick shot it to be able to get rid of it, and if they're doing that, they're not playing their 5-drop, so you're pretty happy about it.
Oh, well, Deadly Shot.
Not great here.
Yeah, that's great.
Sometimes you can get in a situation where you go like Knife Juggler, Unleash, you're able to get a head on board, and then you can dictate the trade of the Deadly Shot, because that's when the card really shines. It's such a great card, and it would be so OP in a lot of other classes, but Hunter loses the board early on, and if you can dictate the trades and set up the Deadly Shot yourself, that's when the card really starts to become powerful.
It's so weird, because like you would probably want to use Deadly Shot on something like a Flame Reed Faceless, like a 7/7. But is there any merit using it here? Because you do have the quick shot and the weapon. That's why
you get to clean up most of the board, yeah.
Yeah, so it was actually not that bad. Like, obviously, if it would hit the Spell Damage Totem, it would have been
bad, yeah. So it's not the most effective use of Deadly Shot, but it is a very effective use of that turn. For example, like his other play was like play a Houndmaster, and that just doesn't feel good at all.
And just lose it to whatever.
Yeah, or just quick shot and play Knife Juggler, it dies on board, or quick shot Hero Power just isn't good enough. So I really do like the use of Deadly Shot, so he's able to actually use his mana that turn to accomplish something. You'd prefer to save it, like you said, for Flame Wreath Faceless, but it's just the best you can do that turn.
Yeah, you are just forced to play ineffectively, and I find myself, like, when I'm playing the matchups that are bad, just using cards in an ineffective way to at least survive and try to find ways to win the matchup. Just using your burst to kill minions, or like, well, Deadly Shot to kill a Feral Spirit.
Yeah, exactly. Just need to try and fight back on the board, and tomof still, he's made it to the mid-game area. He just doesn't have any of his mid-game cards. We see him missing the 5-drop, missing the 6-drop. He's had such great early game, it's just where are your high mains, where are your Kodos, where's the Tigers, and
like, you know,
they're not showing up.
even getting an Alec here instead of the Flame Juggler. I'm not sure if he even plays one, but a second huge Toad maybe to buff it to get some value from the Handmaster instead of playing it as a 4-free.
Yeah, exactly. And it's interesting to me that he holds back the Flame Juggler, holding it back with the Knife Juggler that turn, just going for the hero power. Looks like he's trying to set up a big Juggler turn, trying to make sure he gets a lot of value out of Knife Juggler in one swing or something. It's interesting.
He can still come back with if he gets Unleash the Hounds.
For sure. Yeah.
So that's probably one of the biggest cards he can get next turn. And, you know, we're also slowly getting to the turn 8 where he will be able to play Unleash the Huffers.
Unleash the Huffers. Yeah. These Tunnel Trucks might not let him get too far past that point if he doesn't draw it soon. Tunnel Truck is one of those cards that just gets stronger over time, and he doesn't have very many cards in his hand, and none of them are really good answers to these Tunnel Trucks. Another deadly shot.
Oh, that kills the Trog, supposedly.
Sometimes.
It has a chance, right?
Yeah.
A better chance because we have 2 of the Trogs, and he's probably forced to do it because what is his other play?
Yeah, exactly. That's been the story of this game, really. It's like looking at Tomof's hands. It's like, I guess you do it. He doesn't really have anything else going on.
Told
here.
you. 100%.
And he gets the truck.
It was actually 50-50. It's either kills the Trog or doesn't.
Oh yeah, sure. Okay, Amaz.
Yeah, but overall it was still an okay deadly shot there. Keeping the Jugglers, just being consistent with his strategy, and wow, Lightning Storm.
Interesting. That's going to slow down BoarControl a lot here. It's giving Tomof maybe a little bit more time, find those Unleash the Huffers or those bigger cards like High Main or
even Unleash the Hounds, right?
Or yeah, as soon as he finds Unleash the Hounds, it's going to be pretty good. The Lightning Storm will clean up after the fact, but then neither player will have board and it'll start going to the top deck war. And traditionally in the top deck war, the Hunter is going to be more favored than the Shaman.
Definitely.
He just has bigger cards in the deck.
But still, like, looking at this Lightning Storm, at least it's 2 damage.
Sure.
Because you can use it to just buff the Trog.
Imagine if both Trogs were still alive. Then it would have been a 4 damage Lightning Storm.
Yeah, and Lightning Bolt would deal more damage as well.
Yeah, for sure.
So there's this huge Toad late to the party. No Handmaster is ready for it. And I guess you have to play cards if you want to win this match.
Yeah, he's getting to the point where, like, if he doesn't do anything and he keeps trying to wait for this Unleash, he's going to die. So we do see him go in here with the Knife Juggler, the Flame Juggler, huge Toad, trying to juggle something down.
And that's unfortunate. That was okay. I was like, it's okay. Yeah, he definitely wanted to kill maybe another minion, but the Lightning Storm, hey, it actually, well, is it enough? This
Lava Burst, Lightning Storm should be lethal here.
7-9 damage from hand, and then you have, yeah, it's definitely enough, definitely enough. Wow, okay, this was a bad matchup to begin with. Like, even though Hunter had an okay opening, let's say, he missed the cards in the mid-game. If Hunter gets the perfect opening and perfect mid-game into perfect late-game,
it beats almost everything.
Yeah. And then Shaman basically can, like, even if Shaman has a great hand, it can falter to Hunter, but that's why this matchup isn't 100% Shaman to Hunter.
Sure.
But he missed the cards that were important, and good opening was not enough to beat Shaman.
Yeah. And one of the things that was really key is those Houndmasters having to come down naked every single time. Just no little beast to squeeze in there with it. And after he had stabilized against the Shaman, he never found those big minions to really capitalize being on even board state with the Shaman, and he just sort of fizzled out of cards and died.
So Shaman stays. Shaman stays for BoarControl. This is last hero standing, and Tomof is picking his another deck, which is a Tempo Warrior. Yeah,
like, I usually favor Tempo Warrior in this matchup over Shaman. Maybe ever so slightly, though. It's really close. It goes kind of back and forth, and it honestly depends on the Fiery War Axe, usually in the early game, or making sure you have Armor Smith. Just things that can trade up with the early game of Shaman, because once again, like, Shaman's early game, it can really snowball.
It can. There's a couple of really cool plays from Warrior's perspective that are super satisfying, like Blood to Ichor into the Totem Golem and then finish it off with Fire War Axe.
Yeah.
But it does require the Fire War Axe.
Sure.
And, how do you mulligan now as Tomof? Because you got that Armor Smith, you got the Blood to Ichor and Battle Rage, which is overall a great card with Flooding Berserker. What do you mulligan away to get a Fire War Axe? Or do you just throw everything away to get a War Axe?
I would like to see him keep Blood to Ichor, and I'd like to see him keep Armor Smith, but I don't know, he chooses to throw away the Armor Smith there.
He has the coin, so he has the coin, so maybe he was thinking that he would be playing Frauding on turn 2.
Okay, yeah, Blood to Ichor against your opponent's 1-drop, so in this stage right now, we see BoarControl's hand. If Argent Squire gets Blood to Ichor, that puts Tomof ahead on the board, and then he can coin out a Frothing behind it, so it seems like to make a lot of sense with his mulligan to line it up, so he's just going to skip turn 2, ignore the Fiery War Axe altogether, and try and get a coin 3 into 3 based off his mulligan there, and it's going to work out great here.
Yeah, and this opening for for Shaman is not the best, but it's good enough. It's good enough, definitely. Like
Yeah.
you're always looking for Trog into Totem Golem, into a possible Tusker Totemic later in the game, or like a second Totem Golem. But well, Totem Golem.
Yeah, Totem Golem's good here, but it's not great. I'd like to see maybe Abusive Sergeant Finley come out, set up for a really good Flame Tongue Totem the following turn. It kind of messes up your curve, though, because you don't have anything exactly going on turn 3, but it sets you up in the best position to deal with a coined 3-drop,
Yeah.
which is really nice, and it also deals with the threat immediately. But yeah, it's kind of awkward, though, because now you see turn 3, what is he going to do? He's got 2 2-drops in his hand and 3 mana, so he's hoping to top deck then, I guess.
Yeah, that's absolutely right. Well, he still going for a 3/4 as a free drop is not bad.
It's not bad. It's not bad. It's just not good. It doesn't leave a good... You know that feeling you get when you use all of your mana? You just don't get that. And
I know, right? It
Yeah.
can trigger you.
yeah.
All right, so he goes for the play you suggested, and then on the Warriors side, we do have another free drop, which means he can coin Frothing or Fierce Monkey, and then follow up with one or another, which is better here. Monkey does block the damage, and it's not fully contested by the minions, but then this weapon can actually kill it.
Well, usually you want to save Frothing because it has value later on, right? So at later stages, Frothing, when you play it out, isn't going to be a 2/4. It's going to be a 2/4 plus whatever the trades that happen, right? So
yeah, exactly.
since it has more value later on, I really like leading off with the Monkey, because the Monkey's always the 3/4 taunt.
Yeah, whatever
And,
happens.
Yeah, so I really like it going this way, and then maybe you don't end up playing Frothing the next turn if things go on, and then it can get bigger value later on, so it makes some sense to me.
Yeah, but still here, Frothing is easily contested by the weapon attack, and it doesn't even kill Finley. There is a Totem Golem going forward as well on the left side of the Flame Tongue. So Shaman is taking a really good lead on this board.
Yeah, and we can see how like not having the War Axe and kind of going for the coin 3 into 3 line, even against a mediocre Shaman hand, doesn't seem to be working out too well. That's why, I don't know, I think you have to be a little bit more ambitious in your mulligans. If you try and play it safe and be like, yeah, I can go coin 3 into 3, and that's pretty good, this isn't really the matchup where pretty good is good enough, you know?
Yeah, you just see that Fire War Axe.
Yeah.
And now without the War Axe, what he can do, he slammed the totem so he can Whirlwinds to get rid of it, and the Totem Golem will be reduced. But then there are still good cards being...
yeah, I mean, he is at 27 health, so maybe pretty good is good enough, you know? He's starting to stabilize. Maybe he can get Karen out there just fine, and that can eat up some damage and slowly chip away at minions while it gets ignored like Karen usually does. So
Definitely. Well, the next turn is probably Bloodhoof Brave,
Yeah,
especially now after getting the second one.
Well, yeah, he just has no other options in his hand, really. He's not going to Battle Rage for 1, so he gets the Blood of Brave out there, but...
For BoarControl, it seems like Flame Rift Faceless looks good, but then you do want to get rid of the 2/6, and also you can do it without losing a minion using the Lightning Bolts, develop the 3/4 as well.
Yeah, and
So-
you keep your minion at 1 health, but you've already seen 1 Whirlwind.
Yeah.
So you feel a little bit more comfortable about it being at 1 health, because you do know there's usually about 3 Whirlwinds in Temple Warrior, and I believe BoarControl has access to the deck list himself, so if there is maybe double Whirlwind tech in there, he'd be aware of that as well.
Definitely, and also you're aware that there's no Brawl in the deck, so this board is going to stay, and the more minions you have, if there is a second Bloodhoof Brave, you can get rid of it. If there is Karen, you're like, sure, fine, it doesn't have taunt, I just go face. I'm face Shaman after all.
Exactly. So yeah, I wouldn't be surprised to see him go with Totem Golem Bolt, like you said, but if he puts a read that there's no execute, 7/7 could be pretty juicy.
The problem with 7/7 is that it's awkward to trade into this minion, and not attacking at all is probably not what you want to do.
Probably not. Probably not.
This seems like a superior play.
Yeah, I agree. I agree. You get a push damage, and you're playing Fates Shaman. Seems good, man.
Definitely, definitely. Even though you're running out of cards, you still are winning this game, and there is...
The War Axe shows up a little bit late to the party, but it seems like it's probably a better play than playing the 4/5 that's just going to be ignored forever. So I would like to see maybe Bloodhoof Brave plus the Axe come out, start cleaning up some of these Feral Spirits, and setting up another Bloodhoof Brave that could be awkward to deal with. But we do see him go with the Frothing. It is a 3 attack, and that's pretty important because it can trade into some of the minions more efficiently, but at the same time, it also just dies to Totem Golem plus the dagger hit.
It does, but it also requires trading. So if you play Frothing Berserker, you hope your opponent will actually... you invite your opponent to trade into a minion.
And
so
that buys you more time.
Yeah, exactly, and then you just follow up with Bloodhoof Brave, so in this situation similar. But Well, BoarControl, isn't it just in a squeamish minion?
No.
It's only face. There's nothing else.
Yeah, he does have this Flame Tongue Totem threatening to do an additional 4 damage in the back end of this, so that'll be helping him out. But
Well, to be honest, he was like running out of cards, so even if he would want to trade in front of Berserker, it wasn't a good play because he might just get
run out of
outvalued by
steam.
Warrior.
Yeah. Well, he may yet get outvalued by Warrior. This Frothing Berserker that he ignored is coming back to haunt him. It's putting in a lot of work now, challenging the 7-7 potentially the following turn, and there's a taunt stopping this 2-6 from connecting for lethal damage.
Yeah, Trug is not doing much. Like, he will be able to...
Yeah.
He probably has to attack
it, yeah.
Just take 9 damage like a man.
Yeah, his life total's fine, right? It's a great resource to use here. He's not afraid of dying anytime soon, and it protects his 7-5 quite nicely.
Keeps that Flame Tongue Totem in hand just to not expose it to anything else. Like something like a Ghoul would definitely get rid of it. Also, it's like concealed damage that you have in your hand.
Sure, yeah. You just don't want your opponent to be able to remove it, and then you have no damage all of a sudden. And
Oh, there's something to deal with the 7-5.
well, not quite.
Oh, you attack with the 2-1 first. Oh, you're right,
Yeah,
you're right,
yeah.
right. I was like, you can still attack it with it.
Well, and that Flame Tongue Totem that was held back is going to be lethal. BoarControl
Yeah.
taking it now. 2 games over Tom.
BoarControl is like, yep, I've got this.
Yeah, now it's
Yeah.
down to the Shaman Mir and the last Shaman standing.
So we had one 3-0 with Shaman in this top 16. And now it seems like it's going to be another one. What's the last deck again? Shaman for tomof?
tomof still has... Yeah, tomof has Shaman, so BoarControl has Shaman remaining, and BoarControl still also has the Zoo. So even if BoarControl does not win this 50-50, he's set
still
himself
favored.
up in a really good spot to be able to just take it down with the Zoo, which has a great matchup up against the Shaman. So you have to imagine he's feeling pretty comfortable in this situation, but for some reason he's got his head down.
Well, he's probably, it's a mirror match. And
Sure.
I'm not sure what's your standpoint on mirror matches, but there's a lot of people who don't like to play them because it is, in fact, a coin flip.
I like mirror matches a lot. I think it's one of my favorite things in Hearthstone are mirror matches. I think the early game matters the most in a lot of mirror matches, and
Yeah.
there's so many like little technical tricks about mirror matches that play like a huge impact in a lot of them, especially when you get to talking about like rogue mirror matches or control warrior mirror matches.
Even Zoo can be really interesting, like how you mulligan and what
Yeah,
you really
sure.
want in the early game.
Yeah, like going first with Zoo and having Flame Imp is like one of the best things, and then if you're going second and have Imp Gang Boss first, you're also
Well,
it's
actually,
like
Argent Squire and Abusive as well. Like you start with those
sure,
things,
that's
yeah.
not a bad turn 1, turn 2. If you have another 1-drop with it,
Yeah,
though.
like Possessed Villager.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, so there's some things. There's definitely skill to mirror matches. It's not just a straight up coin flip. There's a lot of factors that play into it, and running Elemental Destruction in the Shaman Mirror is a factor that plays into it.
Yeah, it can definitely change the board perspective. Like one time you're losing and he has Feral Spirits and everything, and then next turn he doesn't have a board and cards. So, but both players are aware of their deck lists. So BoarControl knows that there is Elemental Distraction. It's just a matter of fact to assess when the Elemental Distraction will be played,
Yep.
or is it even in the hand.
Exactly. You have to really make reads on it, and it's one of the cards you can legitimately most of the time be able to pick out of your opponent's hand, because as a face shaman, most of the cards in your hand are going to be, you're going to play pretty much immediately. You run out of cards out of your hand really quick, and there's going to be one card you're holding back, and you'll sit there and say, gee, I wonder what that one card he hasn't played yet is.
Is it a second Doomhammer?
Yeah, is it a second Doomhammer is like the only thing, so...
Yeah, right. But then, like, this opening from BoarControl was really good. Like,
Yeah, it's fierce.
it's super good with Flame Tongue Totem as well to follow up.
And meanwhile, Tom is totem passing, which is not generally what you want to do into the double Argent Squire into Flame Tongue Totem start.
Oh man, he at least wants to bluff, right? Be like, do I play this Flame Juggler here, or do I really totem up because I have double thing from below in my hands?
Bluff the double things from below, I guess? I don't know. I'm pretty sure BoarControl is going to make the read that he's got no 2-drops and nothing going on here.
Yeah, not even a coin
Not
to
even
bluff anything. So BoarControl is like, so when do you totem pass when I have Argent Squires? I guess when you have nothing in your hand.
Yeah, pretty much that's the only situation. In this mirror match, you really want to be going for getting the board, and yeah, he's going to go with the Totem Pass here himself, though. He doesn't want to play the Flame Tongue Totem down and expose it to Lightning Bolt, Rock Biter Weapon, and removal cards as such, just because his opponent doesn't have minions in his hand, so one of the things he could have in his hand is removal spells that can clean up that Flame Tongue Totem without it getting any value besides, you know, just the face damage, and you want to get more value out of the card than face damage.
And that's definitely something you have to think about when your opponent just does the Totem Pass. Instead of thinking what he doesn't have in his hand, which you know, what he has and what can be done. But yeah, this is still a very good position.
Pretty patient there. He's not committing down the Tunnel Trog or the, or maybe he will still commit down the Tunnel Trog, but not committing the Totem Golem.
I think you do have to play the Tunnel Trog because you have the 7/7 in the next turn, and it doesn't die to them in the distraction as well. You bought the Trog. It's a pretty good position there. Yeah,
not too bad.
You have to start fighting back as tomof. So is it the turn when you play Feral Spirits? Or
he could, you know, like instead of trying to fight back, just commit to the Elemental Destruction now. Try and hold back resources, you know, but...
How much overload it is?
It is 5
So
overload.
you basically just play Argent Squire, Elemental Distraction, Argent Squire. Then you pass turn 5, say hi, well played, and then you come back on 6 on the full board again.
I guess, yeah. Yeah, it's not good. It's one of the things... But like next turn he has Elemental Destruction into Elemental Sentinel. So that's what I'm saying is he could Totem Pass this turn, and then next turn Elemental Destruction, Elemental Sentinel, and get rid of the 5 overload, and then start playing the game from there and just hold on to his resources this turn because he doesn't want to give BoarControl the opportunity to just trade into all of his cards, you know?
Yeah, definitely. So like if you play Feral Spirit, you just block. Well, actually, if you play Feral Spirit, you can play Eternal Sentinel and Argent Squire next turn, but you will not be able to trap your opponent with Elemental Distraction.
So yeah, so it looks like Tom is committing to the Elemental Destruction next turn, and he's really hoping not to see a 4-mana 7/7. So he may be a bit disappointed when this comes down, but BoarControl needs to recognize that Elemental Destruction is in the hand, and that's why he's taking so long thinking about it and why he's having such weak turns. Play the 4-mana 7/7, and then trade in such a way that he's not as vulnerable to Elemental Destruction. So we can see him most likely clean up, I would say, both of the minions here, but he may only clean up one because you have to be afraid of Elemental Destruction and Lava Shock, and then the 1 damage being what makes the difference if your opponent loses the 50-50 on the Elemental Destruction. But
good decision to go to face here because if Elemental Destruction is being played, he's just thinking like, hey, right now it doesn't matter.
Well, maybe there's no Lava Shock, I guess,
Yeah.
So he's able to take off the 1 minion, protecting his 7/7 from the 5 damage of Elemental Destruction. Because there's not 2 1/1s now to trade into it and then do the Elemental Destruction, clearing the board. So.
Yeah, definitely. There was like also some value of in getting the Divine Shield off so that the minion doesn't stick and you still heal with your Trog at the end of the turn, so Trog doesn't really take damage. But damage matters in this matchup because when you get Doomhammer with Brockbiters, if your opponent is in range, you just win instead of giving your opponent a chance to stabilize. So do you still go for Elemental Eternal plan?
It's a bit awkward since the 7/7 is still around, but you do have the Eternal Sentinel to contest it. It's now only a 7/3. Yeah. And you got the Eternal Sentinel, which is a 3-attack minion. So if your opponent doesn't have removal for Eternal Sentinel, you could be able just to take it down that way.
Oh man, there's double Lava Burst.
If you just count the damage in BoarControl's hand right now, that's 10 damage. If the 7/3 goes faced, that's 17. If you connect a Flame Tongue Totem with it, that's 18, 19. He's just looking for 6 additional points of damage to pull it through. Is it enough to just go all face, or do you think he should Lava Burst the 3/2 and fight for the board still? Or maybe just do this and fight for the board?
Yeah, I was also thinking about just developing another minion and going for face, because you know the 7/3 is going to die to the 3/2, and then you still have a good threat. Like, Flame Tongue Totems can be used a bit later, and then Lava Burst will be great as well. And you don't have enough damage yet, but you're getting close.
Yeah, and this way forces your opponent to clear this minion as well. So Lava Burst coming out from tomof, and then Feral Spirits. tomof has the board, so even though he's at this massive health disadvantage, I would say he's in a good spot. The Elemental Destruction really swung this game around.
Yeah, it was really useful.
Yeah, it's a great tech card for this matchup for sure.
And right now we see 13 damage from the spells in BoarControl's hand, but this is not enough yet.
Yeah, he needs like 1 more burn spell, and then he needs to maybe pick up spell power if he wants to win with just burn, and he's realizing that's pretty unlikely at this point. So he's going to be trying to fight for the board. He gets the Flame Tongue Totem out there to be able to use as a minion that can be buffed by the other Flame Tongue Totem, and uses Lightning Bolt to clean up a little bit.
Yeah, Stoneclaw is quite good there, by the way. Just getting the Stoneclaw.
Sure. I imagine he would have held back the Flame Tongue if he didn't get exactly Stone
Definitely, yeah, because then you like try to get maybe another Argent Horse Rider. But yeah, Stoneclaw from tomof as well, and there is the Argent Horse Rider. In fact, you can actually kill the Totem and the Wolf.
Yeah, you can take care of 2 of the minions here, just leaving the 1/3.
And continue fighting for the board. And
You could use Lava Burst to kill the 1/3 if you felt being super ambitious for the board. The guy can grow, so it's something to think about if you want to be protecting your Flame Tongue Totem pretty aggressively.
Yeah, you definitely need to think about it because like 10 damage is great, but if your opponent stays at 18, you will not be able to use those Lava Bursts. Like just Lava Burst face twice and concedes, showing like, hey, I had this. It's like, cool.
I think it might be right to just Lava Burst the Trog, use the Argent Horse Rider to kill the 2/1, just so that your Flame Tongue Totem is as protected as possible and you get the most board control that you can possibly get on this turn.
I like it because Horse Rider, if it survives, like next turn you have another Flame Tongue Totem, so you can actually connect with face as well.
Sure.
But well, this play also seems like a play you can do, especially because you are building up a bigger board. You are dealing with the Wolf, even though the Trog is there. The Trog only contests the totems, and not even yet. Like you have to buff it a bit.
There has to be some sort of overload to make this Trog relevant, and we do see the Doom Hammer in Tomov's hand, so he is going to be able to turn the Trog into a 3/3, take a value trade on one of these Flame Tongue Totems, and then kill off the Argent Horse Rider if he wants, or maybe kill off the other Flame Tongue Totem.
But that's some damage he's taking, so he's getting dangerously low on health total. Do you assume, being Tomov, that, hey, my opponent's sitting on double Lava Burst?
He has seen the card sitting there for a very long time. So he has to start thinking about things like maybe they're holding a Rock Biter for Doomhammer, or maybe it's a Lava Burst. And yeah, he's got to be aware of that a little bit. They've been there for a while. One of them since the beginning of the game, I believe.
Yeah, definitely. Something like a Doomhammer here would be probably the best pick. Oh wow, it's actually, if he gets a totem with spell damage.
Well, he doesn't have the mana though, but
yeah,
he's
obviously
very
not this
close.
turn.
Yeah,
not this turn, but
not this turn. If he sinks the Rock Biter now to play around like the second Feral Spirits coming out of Tomov, or playing around the things from below, then on a following turn, whenever he finds spell power or whenever he gains a damage, he can finish the game off with the Lava Bursts over the top. So
I wonder what spells are left in his deck. We've seen one Lightning Bolt. Maybe there's a second Lightning Bolt. Maybe a Lava Shock as well on top of it. Like we've seen double Argent Horse Rider. What else he can get to get that instant damage? Obviously, he can get that totem, right? But
the totem, yeah, there's the spell power totem, and I think it's just the second Lightning Bolt, really. Most people don't run Lava Shock.
What about Doomhammer?
Doomhammer could close it out if there is no taunt, for sure.
But how do you close it? Like, what do you do this turn to be able to play Doomhammer next turn?
You're going to want to use one of your Lava Bursts, right?
So it seems like he is cautious of the Feral Spirit, or even a Stoneclaw Totem.
Stoneclaw Totem, Feral Spirit, things from below. So he goes in with the Rock Biter, and we'd like to see him most likely Lava Burst this turn, then he's going to be overloaded for 2 next turn.
Yep.
So that he's going to have 9 mana overloaded for 2 down to 7, so he can't quite Doomhammer and Lava Burst in the same turn, but
there is the Feral Spirit.
There's the Feral Spirit, so well played around that taunt there, but Tomov is no slack on damage himself, honestly. In a few more turns, he has his own Rock Biter in conjunction with the Doomhammer that can clean this up. So if Spell Power Totem isn't found soon, or the Lightning Bolt off the top,
isn't it just like next turn? Like
it's
this is
just
so
next
much
turn.
It's just next turn with the Rock Biter.
Yeah.
Oh my God! It all comes down to this one last draw.
Tomov is clearing off the totem, lowering the chance for the Spell Power to be rolled, and we'll see here maybe a Tuskar Totemic. Well, that lowers your odds, actually. He doesn't have the mana.
Yeah. You need to go for the normal totem.
Normal totem, for sure.
Normal totem, spell damage totem, just wins the game right here. 25% to win the game. And you
he
win
gets
the
it.
game! Oh my
Wow.
God! BoarControl takes the series 3-0 with the Shaman. That gamble worked pretty well.
Yeah, that gamble. He could have went more aggressively for the board, but he saw the damage in his hand and his eyes lit up. He knew he was aggro shaman and he was going to be able to piece together that last bit to make it through, and he's able to do it just barely.
And we have Solo with us as well. And Solo, I want to talk to you about the high risk, high reward, because you are 2-0 in a series.
Yep.
Is it good to take the risk, or would you make a different play? Still go for a board control, let's say, that game, and maybe Lava Burst the Trog and try to like stabilize.
I think the all-in is probably always correct there, because even if that game goes downhill, he falls back on Zoo as a starting point, which is a great matchup against the aggro shaman. So he has everything to gain and very little to lose in that situation. So As well as it just, I think, being mathematically correct in the situation, right? It just seems like the highest win percentage to just go all in. He rationed the damage perfectly. He needed to get that melee damage in before the taunts came down, and then using the one lava burst gave him the maximum number of outs, as you were talking about Firebat with Doomhammer. So I think he played it really well. Of course, the focus will be on the fact that he needed that 25%er at the end, but he had that same 25% of the turn before as well, because he could have just done Lava Burst, Rock Biter, and then he's at 5 anyway. So it comes down to a 50-50. But the important thing is that he navigated it properly and found his odds to win in the right way. As right now, he's just struggling with his headset just a little bit, but we are going to have a few words with the man at the moment. Boar, how you doing?
I'm doing good. There were some plays, there were some quite tough lines there. I wasn't sure if I took the optimal line. There was like, yeah, it was quite hard. It was quite a stressful series, but Shaman doesn't even need Doomhammer apparently now, so yeah. Yeah.
This keeps getting better and better. I know I was talking to you quite extensively beforehand, and you weren't looking forward to like the class mirror match lineup thing, but you were thinking that maybe like your builds had a slight edge over some of the tech choices that he used. Do you think that was like important? Some of the stranger builds of his deck came into play?
Well, yeah, essentially, if I didn't know he was running Elemental Destruction, I would have been screwed in that first game. I would have probably just played my minions, and then he would have just destroyed me. But since I knew he was running these weird tech cards, I could play around them. So knowing the deck list helped me a lot.
I think in the first game as well against the mid-range hunter, there was a couple of turns where the Unleash draw would have been devastating for you because he was holding on to the Knife Juggler. But then when you drew the Lightning Storm, you could at least, like, you weren't going to get blown out by it afterwards. So he was sat there with Juggler in hand for a long time, as you saw, because he eventually played it out. So you probably had that read at the time, right, that there was a card sat in hand?
Yeah, I guessed it was probably Call of the Wild. Okay. And then on 8, I was like, here come one of your 2 Call of the Wilds, or maybe it's a Knife Juggler. But I knew he didn't have a leash, and I was like, yeah, let's just hope he doesn't draw it. My hand had like no other line. I had to play my minions and just hope.
How was Lightning Storm performing for you during the tournament? Because like a lot of face shamans choose not to play any AoE at all.
Yeah, so I've played Shaman once, and before this, it got banned every other time. So I didn't even draw Lightning Storm.
Okay.
So,
tough question.
Yeah. It's been great. Yeah.
So another question would be: you conquered UK apparently, and now you're expanding.
That nod. Yep. Yeah. Done. Job done.
So UK is done, and now you're conquering the world. And Europe at least first. Yeah.
Well, yeah, that's the plan. Then it'll be the world in BlizzCon, yeah. So.
Are you going to challenge Firebat for his trophy and $1,000?
Yeah, sure, if he qualifies.
I think a certain Swedish cheesecake might have something to do with the being Firebat's trophy to take, Nimsh. I don't know.
True, yeah.
It's probably true. It's fair. Gotta give credit where credit's due, man.
All right, right.
But most importantly, Boar, you have moved through. Do you know you are going to be facing the winner of Gootboy versus RDU, I think is the matchup that you end up with. Do you have any preference as to who you play? Have you had a chance to look at their lineups, anything like that?
So I played Radu earlier, the last round of the Swiss, and I beat him, so I'll happily face him. I haven't looked at Gootboy's lineup, so yeah, I'll probably be happy to face both. I'm really happy